Good afternoon. Welcome to OptionsTender. It's another weekend analysis video. We're recording this on Sunday, April 20th, 2025. Fighting a little bit of a cold, so I still want to get this out here to you. And so we're going to go through these videos in these indices pretty quickly here. So what we're looking at is just I'm paying attention to the tightening range. So we talked about in last week's video, just in the week before, perhaps some unfinished business to the downside. And so most of our daily videos have been representing a sideways to lower theme to it. So with that in mind, we're going to go through SPX on the other indices on the higher time frames with just the indicators on SPX. And then we'll check out gold on the higher time frames as well, so we can see. And then I'm going to, if we get our reversal next week, because the setup is beautiful going into next week or so, I think I'm going to do a full analysis on how we traded this reversal, and we'll see. Maybe it blows us out and it stops us out to the upside. All right. So we have SPX here. By the way, if you're new here, go down to that bottom right-hand corner, hit that OptionsTender logo, and subscribe. And we do all of our daily videos intraday. So if you're considering becoming a YouTube member, you get that for 99 cents a month, and also our trade alerts in our Discord. What a value. We have SPX on the monthly time frame. Taking a look at this all the way back from 1929, we can see exactly why we got bearish in the long run. 1929, 2000, and 2025 top here. All right, I'm going to close this up for now. We'll go through the options expected move a little bit later. So big monthly candle. We have 10 days left here. We'll see how this candle ends. We did get a push into this consolidation area, and we're holding that as of right now. It's just super volatile to where we're just spiking through. So I don't believe we touched the former high yet. We do have some lower levels here that perhaps could still hit. Doesn't have to. Can hit later on after a bigger bounce, but we'll see. So looking at the moving averages here, you see that the momentum on the monthly time frame, that's our 8 EMA monthly indicator, we're still heading lower here, but you see exactly where we closed was on the 20-month moving average. And so that's our trend indicator, and that's telling us right now, hey, big spike, but the trend is still up at this time. Now, you can just consider this a back test, right? So closing back on it, and then we can go a little bit lower. There's our unfinished business on the monthly time frame. You see we have the 50 moving average in blue. It's at 46.60 over on the right hand side. You can see it highlighted. And that also coincides with, I have a box around this range, but this is actually a box here and a box there. I think we have that on the weekly time frame. So let's keep that in mind. Looking at the DMARC, anything recently? 1-2, nothing to look here. Here's our setup for the MACD. All right, so this is kind of going along with the theme. We have our bearish cross here in the monthly time frame. That's a sell signal on the higher time frames. It doesn't mean that we can't continue to bounce. I just think this move is over. And if we do happen to get to a new high here, then we're looking at a negative divergence here on the MACD. So we'll see that situation is still on the cards, and we go through that just about every single day. And so we got into this oversold territory. And again, just like this last one here in 2021, I would love to see a positive divergence just to confirm a good trade to the upside. We're not there. In 2021, you saw the low here in price. And then we got a higher low in the RSI, but we got a lower low in the price action. And again here, back in 2016, you had a low here in both price and the RSI, but made a higher low in RSI and a lower low on price action. So that would give us much more of a clue. But this V-shaped reversal in 2020, it never looked back. So I don't think that's the case this time. So we still could see that positive divergence play out. Slow Stoke is still on the downside. Let's go over to SPY. Here's that monthly time frame, and this is what I was talking about right here. Although we came near this, if we tagged it or not, doesn't really matter. A more decent level, and I'll show you this on volume too. Now that we have SPY on, a more decent level would be us getting to that shelf here, this volume shelf. Didn't quite get there. Again, just looks from a visual satisfaction here. Getting down to that 455, and it's a zone. 460 area would just be a beautiful back test of a breakout. Didn't quite get there, so we'll see what happens next. Maybe we come into there later. All right, let's go over to and look at the other indices. QQQ. You can see where we're getting our bounds here, holding trend. Didn't quite get to it still, you know, and maybe, like I said, this month we could have another tag underneath. Maybe not this month's candle, the next month candle. Maybe we get a slight tag underneath and we start to get a little bit stronger in the Qs for a bounce. And SPX has a little bit deeper of a move. We'll see if that happens, and you'll see what the other indices show here. Again, didn't quite get to the shelf. So it seems like unfinished business. So keep that in mind. Not a whole lot of volume going on in there. Let's do IWM. Via visual, the candle looks, you know, pretty much the same in all of them. Did tag the top here. Didn't quite get to the next level candle breakdown, but you'll see on the lower time frames, on the weekly, when I go there, you know, just a huge support that we didn't quite get to. Don't have to. Once again, we don't have to get a little bit lower, but we do have definitely more to fill out if price action wants to go. So we're just not in the clear. I guess that's what I need to say. We're just not out in the clear yet. And we might have a triangle. That's what we've been looking at before we go to lower prices. We broke down the trend from here. Again, you see we tagged a little support level there, but really here's where the volume is. There is where price should have gone, in my opinion, for a direct shot, but maybe it's just a consolidation before heading lower. The VIX on the monthly time frame making lower highs there, but higher highs here. I do eventually think this breaks out to new highs and start some sort of new pattern, but right now we're in this tightening phase at this point. Okay, let's go to GC. All right, so this is the gold futures /GC. Had the breakout here. I do have it also on GLD as well, but this looks really good. Built this base pattern, and really it's just having a blow off top here. And whether this is the actual high or just a near-term high where we consolidate for a while and make new highs, that's, it's fine. So gold loves to trend really hard, and then it will have a long-term consolidation. And I'll show you on GLD what that looks like, a better visual. And so this is basically what it looks like after it consolidates for a while, whether you're getting a reversal or not. It loves to trend, and then it'll form another box here. That's what price action does for all stocks, and they just do them in their own way. And so gold likes to, and I remember Tesla would form huge triangles and pause for a while, and then you get those long trends in between. So we're in that phase. We have reason to believe that our top is in. At least we have a trade set up from this point, and we'll see if this works out. So it doesn't really matter which one you do it on, but if you're looking at, there's a way overbought situation, and then you have negative divergence here on the RSI and back into overbought. And you have this trend here. I do think this is not going to last for much longer. And I'm actually looking for a reversal next week. So again, we'll see if the setup's there. If we get blown out of our position, so be it. That's what trading's all about. And so when you get these trends like this in the RSI and the slow stoke, those do eventually end. And with the negative divergence, that's usually a sign that this near-term trend, or in this case, a long-term trend, may be done. Let's go to let's see if we have a volume profile here. See where we're at. On gold. So you see those huge shelves there. In the meantime, really the only place, the next place we don't have a whole bunch of volume in between is this consolidation area around 250. Okay, in GLD. And so if and when we come back here, we'll probably see price pause and consolidate or get a bounce from that point at 250. I know that's a big move for gold. That's a 50-point move on a $300 ETF. So that's, it moves, it swings in huge ranges. Let's go to SPY. Let's go through the weekly. And I'll do SPX as well. Do SPX. This is where we were looking for a bounce. Didn't quite get there. Again, unfinished business, perhaps. Let's see what ES is all about. We don't see the weekly time frame. Haven't done this one in a while. So ES, if you make this channel all the way from, I think it's all the way back to 2008, and draw a channel, this is sort of a low that you can get if you match it with a lot of these lows, and the volatility is spiking through those. So on the monthly time frame, that would just be a spike through it. So this is a good spot. So there's also a square there as well. So you don't have to go lower. We can make a higher low. I know that I'm not answering the question, but I think we're going to test the lows either way. That's kind of the point there. SPY in the weekly. Here's another look. Here's where I was looking for a bounce. Here's the territory. So that territory runs from 470 all the way down to 455. If anything happens, then I think that's where it goes next to. At this point, here's that old megaphone, just back testing, not making a new high in the weekly. We'll see if we get it's inside week. This could be inside weeks in this range for quite some time, as volatility has already come in. So we'll see how that goes. Here's the moving averages. The 8 EMA is also heading to the downside on the weekly time frame, and also the trend indicators way up here for the 20. I do think we test this 20 once again. I don't know if we go lower first. You see we have the 200 moving average below. I don't know if we go to the 200 moving average first or the 20 week moving average kiss a death first and then head lower after that. That's kind of the big question. And then when we go on the SPX, we'll see that tightening range that I'm talking about on the daily time frame. DMARC. So we got our 9 count exhaustion, sell exhaustion. This would be another clue that we're not going to make a new low here. All right. So we can. There's often times when you have your 9 count, for example, here, your 9 count in the upside. And then when 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks before we started to get a reversal. Okay. So it doesn't mean it's done, but I would make the language to where we're forming a bottom. This is what that would signal to me. Here is the OptionsTender setup, MACD. Again, negative, in bear territory. We get oversold, had that bounce. Do you think the bounce is over? On the weekly time frame, would love to get a new low and have a positive divergence. I say that over and over and over again. Again, we're getting this buy signal here, but we're in this sort of downtrend. Is it wide range? Do we get a positive divergence? That we'll have to see. We don't have that answer, but I'd hate to trend against or trade against that 8 EMA. The momentum's to the downside, and our trend is to. Here's the volume over and over again. We have that real shelf right here at about 475 is where it begins, and then the bigger shelf down in the 460 range. So again, it's like, is it going to tag there? Is it unfinished business, or is it just going to ignore that move? All right, let's go to the Qs. Qs on the weekly. It came down right to this consolidation area. Again, that's where we get support and resistances, and it did make it to that support area. Now, again, this could make a higher low while SPX makes a lower low, but our trend line all the way from 2008 is just below here. Now, I could have drawn another range through this, just like SPX is a little bit higher, and we did tag it. So again, we're in that zone, but do we get one more low? Tag that before heading higher? It would be more clean that way, in my opinion, but it doesn't have to do that. But at this point, you want to see a new high on the weekly. This megaphone bottom here, you want to see it get back above there. And other than that, the trend is still down. All right, holding that 100 at the weekend there. So, yeah. SMH still with some unfinished business. You even have the 200-week moving average there. And again, these things can happen quick. Got to that 8 EMA. Do we try to get above it? Look at 2021. Pretty much held the whole way. Got above the 8 EMA. Trend was still down in the 20 and got back below it. After that, just a pretty big move here. So we have some timing cycles that we go through. For the members, it's $4.99 a month. And, the timing still says we don't have a low yet. So I do presume that we could have a few more weeks headed to the downside, but I also want to be aware that we could have some inside range for quite some time. IWM. Here's another look. Not quite to that 170 mark, but it doesn't have to. Again, we do have a possible hangman candle in there in the inside range. Something to take note. And DIA, all it did was back test the trend line that broke. and you have the range that here again, it could make it down to this 355 area down low. Okay, so here again is the range. We had this bullish falling wedge, broke out from it and consolidate for a while with a back test, and then got back up to higher ranges. Back to that 8 EMA, momentum and trend is up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just started to get to higher levels on the VIX starting next week. Doesn't mean that we're going to make new highs. Again, this could be a consolidation area after such big moves. So let's go back to SPX on the daily time frame. Oh, you know what? Gold. Let's get that gold chart. On the weekly time frame, we are into resistance of a channel right now. Let's see if we've reversed from this. So to give you the traditional looks, there's also other looks on why we got this reversal. Why we're looking for a reversal, excuse me, and then we have some timing here as well. Here's also the look I gave in the Discord. This is different settings, so now it's not lined up. Sorry, it's got different settings on there, and I'm not going to change that. I can pause it, but I'll go back to SPX. Ultimately, if I had my, I think it's log or the switch. Let's see if we can do this without wasting too much time. Let's go to Futures tab and adjust for contract. Okay, so here's an adjustment for the contract changes. You saw how to do that in Thinkorswim. We had our highs, and then you had a couple highs before that, so I wanted to make sure I got a zone in here and just fighting back and forth in that zone. But on the daily time frame, we got a hangman candle. So potential reversal with negative divergence, all of these things. We have resistance above us. Let's see if we get our reversal candle. We want to see follow through, and especially a break below 3,300. SPX. SPX on the daily. Trend is our friend. Here's a daily look. I even gave a positive outlook on this. So on SPX, I made a ascending triangle to where if price wanted to hold this week, we have the lows here, low, low. And then if we hold and get back above this 8 EMA, and then especially if we break out from 5450, that would be a really positive sign. And I think we'll continue to go higher from this downtrend line. And we'll probably go into that whole kiss of death on the 20-week moving average. So we would probably have some sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move up here for an ABC. And then we head lower for the rest of our correction. So visually, that's our positive outlook if we broke out to the upside. Now on ES is what we have. I'll show ES on the, I think I have it on the daily. So here is what I think is happening, where we have our downtrend here, and then we have our uptrend from this geometric line here. So we possibly have a range and then break down from it. But if we end up breaking out from this as we oscillate, then I think that's positive price action from there. Okay. I know I'm jumping around. Okay, so our options expected move. We're looking at a 160-point move from the close to the upside or to the downside. So this could mean that we go test the 20 moving average to the upside. That'd be very positive price action. And I think if we could break above that, we'd have a squeeze from that point. you see the volatility, the range of this volatility and the options expected move is really, really starting to tighten up. We're going against the momentum and trend at this point. So a lot of work to do if you want to go to the upside. Other than that, I think that the lower end might be the way to go, and 51.30 and beyond. So again, I think this might be a tightening range, perhaps even a actual triangle where you have a 5-wave move inside that triangle for a next move lower. And I do think I have that scenario laid out on ES. I think probably, yeah. So this is what it would look like if we have that actual triangle working out here. So our A, B, C, D, E, and continuation to the downside. Now that's negated if we break this triangle to the upside, right? So that would be our first clue that we're a lot more positive. And we do have a little gap here that we need to close. So anything could happen at any time. I'm trading to the downside, and then we'll take off some of our positions as we get lower, if and when we get lower. But just do know that even on the lower time frame, I know I usually don't do this, but I'm going on the lower time frame. We do have those. We do have a look here of a possible triangle as well, and I'm not going to see it there. I'll just do it on a. So this, I'm sure people are drawing in triangles here as well. So in your very near term, in your 65-minute, this would be your sign that you're starting to break down, is getting underneath this pivot here. It's not an actual trend line because you don't have 3 or more touches here. This one you do have 3 or more touches, so this would be a very positive outcome if you do break above here. You break below, you continue down to those levels I was talking about in the daily time frame on the daily videos. Okay, let's get this video out to you. Keep ranting on. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful Easter, and we'll see you tomorrow.